Treasury is going to start a program of buying back older Treasury debt in 2024. This is something they have not done since 2000, when they thought we had a problem with the government's surplus at the time. They would take some of the Treasuries off the market that they didn't need out there anymore. Now it's a question of a lot of these off-the-run older Treasuries, Tom, are very low coupon. And since the markets are focused on the high interest rate ones now, they are not moving very quickly, and that is causing some liquidity problems. So they'll buy back to improve liquidity.
I'm in the world of Bravo. So Lisa, well, this is really important stuff. I make a joke about it, but as you're the adult in the room, here, what I notice is the spread between the 3-month and 10-year yield goes out to new record inversion off of this announcement.
If you take a step back, there's been a lot of criticism of the Treasury, Mike, over the past decade that they didn't sell more debt with longer tenures given how much rates were so low. What is the pushback in terms of executing this kind of buyback program for liquidity reasons when essentially you're giving up all but free rates to just refinance at much higher ones?
Well, at this point, what happens is people don't want to trade those. They're much less liquid, given the higher coupons you get from the Treasury these days. So to improve market liquidity and functioning, they want to do the buyback program. It's a different matter from what happened in 2000. But it's probably going to be small, they say, and it is going to be weighted so that it doesn't change the average maturity of the yield curve.
Michael McKee, thank you so much. Greatly appreciate this morning. And to go through the levels of the 2-year yield all over the map, now flat, 3.96, just below 4%. And the 10-year yield in 3 basis points, 3.39%. The vanilla spread, negative 56. Inversion, 56 basis points is not unusual. But folks, again, I'm going to go to the 3-month 10-year to show the tension of the moment into this afternoon's meeting. 103 stunning basis points on the difference in yield between the T-bill and the benchmark note. Somebody that has this tattooed to their brain is Jonathan Pingle, chief U.S. economist at UBS with yeoman's duty, working for the Fed in the macroeconomic section as well. Jonathan, take us inside the Fed today, where there are 300 PhDs like you, your work at Chapel Hill, but they take us inside what 300 PhDs will advise the board, the governors, and ultimately the chairman.
Well, I mean, they have two tensions on the staff, right? I mean, they, in the last, projections prepared for the FOMC, they did put a recession in their baseline. They also will have collected for this meeting the latest senior loan officer opinion survey. So they will be getting, real-time feedback on how lending officers are thinking about potential credit tightening, in the wake of the recent events in the banking system. But even given those downsides, they still do have an inflation problem. So I'm sure the staff is advising them they need to follow through with one more rate hike. They're not out of the woods, or they're not out of the inflation woods yet, but that there are certainly downside risks that they need to consider for this decision.
On a theoretical basis, how original is the territory the chairman traces this afternoon at 2 p.m.? Is this like business as usual for you in the textbooks, or is it just absolutely original how he needs to react?
Oh no, this is really, really new. The problem that they face, is very different from what they faced in the 70s. They've got a lot going on with tensions in the banking system. And we saw that on Friday in the Fed's own report on their review of SVB. They talked in that report about the actions they could take to intensify the supervisory regime.
In 0.1 miles, turn right on South President Street.
That, these changes that they could make without legislation, would be a burden and potentially a burden to credit intermediation. So the Fed's very aware that, what is going to unfold, risks a tightening of lending standards over and above what the rapid recalibration and rates, might imply. And at the same time, they still have this sticky inflation, which, you all have been talking about. And, we're looking ahead to sort of next week's CPI, expecting, another relatively strong gain. So, they still do have this inflation problem that they need to address while they balance it against these other downside risks. And I think it really presents a tough task for the chair.
Do you have a sense of just how much of the lagged effects, how much of the hikes that we have not yet seen percolate through the economy, percolate through the financial system?
Yeah, we would estimate you're actually probably not even halfway done in some sense, right? I mean, if you went back and you look, just take the Fed's, firmness coefficients that they've published in the
Turn
past.
right on South President
the
Street,
second
then
12
keep
months
left.
Often in these estimates has a bigger impact than the first 12 months. So there still is this, lagged effect that we expect to mount over the coming years. So I think in the FOMC statement, when they say that they're considering the lag effects of monetary policy, I think they mean it, and there are still lag effects to come.
One of the big challenges is the just incredible difference between people who believe we see a structural increase in inflation going forward based on deglobalization and an aging population, and people who say it's quite the opposite, that with the debt overhang, it's a weight on inflation that brings it low to where it was before the pandemic. Which camp do you sit in, and how do you determine what's right?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be impossible. We'll all know in 20 years, and there's going to be a lot of dissertations written about it. But, when we look at either the cross-section, to us, population aging is disinflationary. Now, deglobalization, that has been disinflationary, and if it really goes into reverse, we estimate that would push up inflation. But the magnitudes that we estimate aren't particularly large when we do these decompositions. So, when we think about what's unfolding with inflation, we're looking at, basically households still have low inflation expectations. If the Fed succeeds in slowing the economy, taking some of the steam out of the labor market and nominal wage pressures, we do think that even with some of these structural tailwinds pushing inflation higher, that you can restore price stability here.
Jonathan, you and Lisa go right to where I wanted to go, and I was researching this as well. I want to go back when you were at the Fed, and I'm going to pick on Chad Fulton with 3 degrees from the University of Oregon, and he's in the prices and wages section. This is buried 14 floors below the Echo building, like they get warming from the inner core of the earth. They're buried so low. But John, this is important. Here's a bright PhD telling the chairman and the team about prices and wages. Olivier Blanchard would suggest there are these other factors dampening our start, dampening the world. But as you say, we're not going to know for 20 years. So what is a Fed to do with those other factors that Chad Fulton and Olivier Blanchard are studying?
So I think Chad's actually on the 3rd floor, which is where we were in the labor and macro bay too. But to be fair, Chairman Greenspan once said that uncertainty was really the central challenge of monetary policy. I mean, it is really all about, having to make decisions with an uncertain knowledge of both the structure of the economy and its future. And in fact, you hear a lot of the current committee talk about that, right?
Keep left on President Street, then enter roundabout.
This is one of the reasons we have risk management, is because we don't fully understand the current structure of the economy. But when I look out, and I think about where we were pre-pandemic, where we are now, the changes, I do think that population aging and demographics, to be fair to Professor Blanchard, I do
take second exit to International Drive
on our star, and in such a way that we haven't gotten out of the woods, right? I mean, if anything, population aging now is intensifying more than it was pre-pandemic. So it's not clear to me that that's one of those downward forces that's really been alleviated. And I think one of the real cruxes is how you face some of these new trade-offs where you're balancing the downward pressure of demographics against the potential upward pressure of